Who the fuck did this? I don't have anything valuable. Money. They must have stolen the money. Great. That's all I need. Fuck! Christ, why did the neighbors not report anything? I'm calling Stephen. Stephen?
Now, Jack, I told you, I'm going for a drink with you for another night in a row.
That's not why I'm ringing. Although I could do with one. Someone broke into my apartment.
What? Did anyone see anything? Have you called the police yet?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, no one contacted me. As for the police, I'm calling right now, officer.
All right. Do you want me to head round? Look for any trace evidence?
I don't know. No, I guess not. Honestly, I don't have the strength to deal with it right now. I just want to lie down.
Are you sure? Because it's no trouble at all.
I think so. I'm sorry. I just wanted to calm down a bit. I don't know. That's probably some stupid joke. Only money was stolen.
Money? From Alice's box? Oh, fuck. Listen, I can come over. I have the key. I'll drop by, do what I need to do, and you go get some sleep.
No, don't trouble yourself. Lately, I've been just so tired and distracted. I don't know. Maybe I forgot to close the apartment door on my way to work. If anything else is missing, I'll let you know and call the police.
All right. Just make sure you close it tonight. If you see anything weird tomorrow, let me know. Whoever did this may be watching you.
I don't think anyone is dumb enough to come back.
You're probably right. Take care, Jack. If you need anything, call me.
I promise I will. Thanks, Stephen. Sorry to bother you again. I've just been all over the place lately.
It's not a problem. Good night, Jack.
Good night. I guess I should clean this shit up. Where to start? I'm glad this didn't break. There you go. To be honest, I could leave it like this. Maybe I could barricade the door with this. I should pack this thing away. I have no Now I'm sure Alice's family should really have some of these. What a mess. Now if only I could blame this on the burglars. That's enough for now. Jeez, I'm exhausted. I'll get the rest in the morning. That's enough. I need to quickly change and finish getting ready. I'm gonna be late for work again. got my keys, got my files. Check. Oh yeah, I should take my pills. I feel like it takes me forever to finish these things. Time to go. Remember to close the door properly, Jack. I'll ask the neighbors tomorrow if they saw anything suspicious. Oh shit. Almost let the door open. Oh, for fuck's sake. Maybe they'll finally fix that door. Maybe a bit optimistic. I'd better grab a coffee on the way. I'm exhausted. I wonder who Stephen brought in today. Good morning, Mr. Ridley. No, he's not here yet? No, I'll do without him. They definitely pay me too little for this. Almost there. Now for the tough part. The body needs to be moved. Where's Ridley when you need him? Alright. I just need some gloves and my apron. Then I can get to work. I'm going to need my tape recorder for this. Autopsy dated November 22nd, 1990. I begin by verifying the identity of the... It's most likely Harper Lloyd, age 35. Found in a well-owned house by her neighbors Leonard and Dorothy Chelsea. Reported missing for a week. Firefighters found the body after the Chelsea family began complaining that their tap water tasted strange, and at one point had begun to smell and turn a dark color. It is also known that the deceased was diagnosed with affective bipolar disorder. Harper was placed on drug therapy, which she dropped out of fairly regularly. During her treatment, she was under the care of her common-law partner, Richard Benson, professional truck driver. The last person who had contact with the deceased was her partner. Harper's last message read as follows: "I'm gonna take a shit in their stupid well. Then we'll see who has the last laugh." Nice one. Police records also show that Mrs. Lloyd was in constant conflict with her neighbors. The constant parties and subsequent brawls made living in the area nearly impossible, especially when Lloyd's partner wasn't around. I proceed to open the bag, and the most important task in forensic identification of a drowned person is to distinguish whether the death occurred before or after entering the water. Okay, that could have been worse. I carefully removed the victim's clothes so as not to damage the skin. The deceased was one shoe was missing. I'm going to need the camera to document all possible suspicious marks. Definitely the first thing that stands out is the very advanced post-mortem gigantism. The skin of the deceased appears very delicate, smooth, and relaxed from being in the water for a long time. The whole body is extremely pale. There are bruises and hemorrhages on the neck. These usually occur due to increased inhalation when fighting to breathe underwater. Post-mortem markings are seen on the underside of the body, that is, on the back, thighs, and calves of the deceased. It's likely that the deceased was lying on her back when she was fished out. The so-called washerwoman's skin on the feet. The deceased had indeed been in the water for a long time. The skin on the hands can be easily separated from the body. The separation takes the form of a glove. There are some obvious scratches on the skin. So, after the preliminary exam, it's time to take a closer look at this. Today's date, the deceased was clothed. Rigor mortis does not need to be checked. Based on the state of decay, you can be sure it has subsided. Where to start? We see thick, white foam in the mouth of the deceased, resulting from pulmonary edema. Foam is a characteristic in deaths due to drowning. The spots have a purplish blue-red hue, which is a typical sign of the death of the organism. Yep, pretty typical. Livor mortis are formed as a result of putrefaction of blood in the veins. No obvious signs of struggle. The skin on the hands would have easily peeled away from the flesh. Some of the fingers have already lost their nails. There are obvious scratches on the skin, especially on the back and hands. These could be defensive wounds, evidence of some sort of altercation prior to death. Due to the fact that the deceased was wearing shoes all the time, her feet are in better condition than her hands. Nevertheless, we can still notice a clear, wavy skin and the so-called washerwoman's skin texture. Okay, that's probably enough to indicate it. I'd better note that down in the records. Those abrasions appear relatively fresh. Hands heavily wrinkled from considering the deceased. Diffuse spots are caused by marks found on the neck and foaming at the mouth are typical signs of drowning people. There doesn't seem to be anything unusual about this livor mortis. Fortunately, the skin, a simple trip, loss of balance, livor mortis of a different color. In this case, the question is, their distribution suggests that the victim was probably lying on her back when fished out of the... Before I begin the dissection, I'll make sure the suggested identity is correct. The suitcase with the fingerprint equipment should be around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. If the body of the deceased is well preserved, fingerprinting is similar to that of a living person. With decomposing bodies, the tissue of the pads of the fingerprint sheet should always be checked. Slipping fingers, too much or too little ink, or inaccurate hand position can make fingerprints illegible. I'm going to conduct a dactyloscopic examination. If in fact the deceased is in the police database, I will find her. Glycerin is injected successively between the nail and the skin of each finger. The substance then enters the fingertip, removing shrinkage and wrinkles. Now I take a brush. Only when the skin is taut and elastic can you use ink. I think it's enough. I'm getting fingerprint samples. In the case of drowning victims, you have to be extremely careful. The skin may fall off the hand like a glove when you take the print. I'll use the fax machine to add the print into the system. Green button, and... Once the data uploads, I'll run the prints against the police database on the computer. Great, the data is there. Click upload. Now, go through the database and find a matching print. Expect possible hours of fun. One more. Analyze button. And we have a result. Everyone has a story to tell, even if it's just a police record. So, as predicted, the deceased turned out to be Harper Lloyd. That went smoothly. I'll print this out and attach it to the medical records. Great. Now I can go back to my inspection. I'm adding the name of the deceased. I'll start the internal examination by taking fluid from the victim's brain. A needle inserted through the nose will do the trick. If the victim was alive when she fell into the well, she must have swallowed water fighting for her life. And then diatoms, characteristics of pooled water like a well, got into the body. In the meantime, I'll check the sample under the microscope. I'm sure that these algae traces will be found in the samples taken from the well where police found the body. Now I need to adjust the knobs properly and place the diatom in the center of the slide. Diatoms are single-celled microscopic algae. Oh, I'm fine. I won't even notice an army of diatoms from... Great. I won't even notice... Great. This way I'll see if I'm... Yeah, it's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. Nah, too much... No. The aperture still needs adjustment. The image is... No. I'm finally starting to see something here. I won't even notice an army of diatoms from... Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration of these algae. And it's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid. And it's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. I won't even notice an army of... Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration of these algae. The aperture still needs adjustment. The image is too dark. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. Nah, too much light. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. I won't even notice an army of... Great. This way I'll see if... And perfect. As expected, we find the aforementioned algae in the solution. Their upper part, Epitheca, which overlaps the lower, Hypotheca, is clearly visible. Poor soul. I get cases like this. The presence of diatoms in the brain samples taken indicate that the deceased was certainly alive when she fell into the water and was possibly conscious. Since there were diatoms in the brain, it means that many more of them must have entered the body. Studies of the rest of the organs will most likely confirm this hypothesis. I can finally get to the practical part. I must be extra careful because the skin of the deceased is very stretched. I wouldn't want an explosion here. You can immediately see a very large swelling of the organs. In addition, all internal organs are very congested. I proceed to remove the rib cage. It's easy to see that the ribs have been imprinted in the lungs. So, I'm going to start. If diatoms were only present in the lungs, this would mean that the victim was placed in the well after death, and the perpetrator wanted to get rid of the corpse in this way. Now, I remove the lungs and taking the lungs in my hand, I feel that the tissues have lost their elasticity, which is the result of water emphysema. In addition, there is significant swelling of the organs, and as a result, we have a nice imprint of the ribs. The emphysema itself, it's clear how far it's progressed, which is characteristic of drowning. Corpses found in water are worth examining with a tomograph. However, I can't count on such luxuries, so I must reach for a more archaic technology, a bucket and water. I hope no one dipped a mop in it. It's best to go to the lab for this. Historically, the lung float test is used to detect infanticide. The water should be at room temperature. That's enough. To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water. This checks if there is air in the lungs. And speaking of lungs, everything is ready to bring them here. Of course, such a study isn't without flaws. Air may have entered a newborn's airways during resuscitation attempts. Gases released during decomposition could also give a... In this case, however, it's about something else. Namely, the amount of fluid in the lungs. To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water and wait to see if they fall or if they will float on the surface. Just as I assumed, the lungs collapsed easily. Fluid could have entered the lungs during panic attempts to catch breath underwater, but it could also be the result of bacterial infections or cancer, so further investigation is needed. I move on to dissecting the lungs of the deceased. You can hear the distinct, very unpleasant crackling of the tissues being cut through. The parenchyma is remarkably pale, although small hemorrhagic foci and petechia are present on the surface. All right. Now, I will check the collected fluid under a microscope. If we find 20 diatoms on the slide, it can be considered drowning, and our result is not false positive due to possible contaminations. Let's see. Although I expect we'll find... I won't even notice an army of... Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration of these algae. The aperture still needs adjustment. The image is too dark. Yeah, it's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. Oh, the aperture still needs adjustment. The image is... Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. And perfect. As expected. In solution, the diatoms are clearly visible. There are smaller and larger clusters of them. There will definitely be more than 20 of them. I'll make a note of all this. So far, this case looks pretty standard. It's clear from the beginning that it's drowning. Well, the procedure requires me to check everything anyway. So, I move on to checking the other organs. I ligate the heart, and then remove it for inspection. Strongly developed putrefactic hemolysis of the organ can be seen at first glance. Apart from that, no signs of a heart attack or other heart disease. I move on to the next organ. This time, it's the liver. It's immediately apparent that the deceased didn't care for us. The beginnings of cirrhosis are visible in some areas. I transfer the organ to a board and proceed to dissect. The cross-section clearly shows dilated veins and many small hemorrhagic foci. I must admit that this is quite a feat, considering the rather young age of the... Now I should... I can't concentrate. No. This is too much for me. My pills... They should be in the bathroom. Harper enjoyed drinking so much that she might not have lasted a few more years. I move on to the stomach. I take a sample of the fluid for testing. It looks very turbid. I'll see what happens after spinning, but that's in a moment. Now, I carefully ligate the organ, then cut it off. It's enlarged, probably full of putrid gases. I transfer it to the board and carefully open it, checking the contents. One thing you'd never get used to is how much this desk smells. Okay, the stomach is full of fluid and unidentified organic matter, which is probably leftover food. So let's check the diatoms. Again. But in a centrifuge for a change. The problem with examining drowned people is being able to show whether the death was due to drowning or whether something else contributed to the death. Cramp, heart attack, drugs, homicide, or some accident. Such an analysis requires viewing from different angles and a careful interpretation of the collected data, including those from the field. That's why it's so important to collect as many samples as possible. Unfortunately. Okay, this is one last little sample. Now, set... Done. I'll run it directly into the chromatograph and run it against the data from the police. I'm certain the analysis will show similarities between the fluid and water in Chelsea's well. Let me think. 3 milliliters should be fine. Okay, now it's the chromatograph's turn. Yes. The water sample matches the one provided by the police. Well, the results are quite clear. I was hoping it would be a more interesting case. More diatoms. Analysis indicates the same origin. Blah, blah, blah. There's little left to do. I'm going to check the airway. Interesting. Looks like there's something stuck in the trachea. I'm moving to the board for further inspection. I dissect the trachea and open the organ. Inside, I find a wedding ring. This is interesting. Let me look at it. Based on the size, I can say that it's a woman's wedding ring, quite standard from the outside. There's an engraving inside. What the fuck? But this is my ring! Alice's ring! But how did it, but this should be at home. I have it. At home. I have to check this out. Where are my meds? Where the fuck are my meds? Jesus Christ! Hope these all make it go away. I have to check the apartment. It can't be. Jesus Christ! Mr. Ridley. Mr. Ridley!
What's all the ruckus?
I need to go home. Immediately.
What? Now?
I have to. Have you seen anyone here this morning? Anybody suspicious?
No, there was no one. Dorothy was, but only for a moment, then she left. What's wrong with you, Hammond?
Okay. Thanks.
What about the corpse?
I'll come back, I promise. Jesus Christ! I have to check this out. Please, please, please be there. It can't be your wedding ring. It's not here. It's not. I need to go. I need to go. This is sick! Fuck! Come on, Steven. Pick up the fucking phone!
Hey. What's up, man?
They took the ring!
What? What ring? What are you talking about?
They took the wedding ring. Alice's wedding ring!
One sec. You mean burglary? You said nothing was missing.
Yes, I know that! I don't know. I was jittery. Maybe I didn't notice. I don't know, but that's not the worst of it.
Calm down, Jack. Breathe. What happened?
I found it in the trachea of the deceased I was working on. Do you understand? I pulled it out of a dead woman's trachea!
What?
I don't know what's going on. You think Red Pete wants revenge? He's playing with me. I knew it. I knew it from the beginning this was going to happen. I didn't make it up!
Jack, listen to me. Try to calm down. Don't leave the apartment. I'll be with you right away, okay? I'm on my way.
What sane person would do something like that? Fucking Ridley lets in whoever he likes as usual. What are you saying? Steven? Don't leave me, man. Come on. Fuck. Oh, God, what now? Okay, I need a drink. Jesus. What's going on? Just one sip more. Yep. Jesus. Oh, God. Yep. Oh, God. These reports will kill me one day. It's time to go to work. Fuck. Yes?
Hi, this is Charlotte. I guess I interrupted you again?
Oh, hi. No, I just... I wrote reports in those last sections, and I was just about to leave for work.
I always know when to call.
Yeah, definitely. What's up? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. What about you?
Okay, nothing new. I had a few days off,
went to look for something for me.
Something for you?
Well, the photo with, the photo I asked you for?
It hasn't come yet? Oh, sorry, but I said it a week ago.
No, not yet. Maybe I'm too impatient. I'm sorry for rushing you. You have so much on your mind, I thought maybe you forgot.
It's okay. No worries. With my pills, Pills. I almost forgot to take my pills. So you see,
Yeah.
I have to go now.
Yes, sure.
Let me know if you still haven't received the letter. Then I'll try... well, maybe I'll find something else.
Oh, really? Could you? It would be great if you could. Really.
Yes. I know it means a lot to you.
Well, I won't hold you any longer. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Damn. Did I mess up the address? How am I gonna get those pills? Maybe I should invite Charlotte to do something herself. I should take out the trash first. Ugh. Why is it so wet? I wonder if Alice's mother has a film of this photo somewhere. I actually hadn't thought about it before. I should call her on Friday. Oh, God. Why do I like sleeping so much? Good afternoon.
Isn't it a bit early for you?
I missed our invigorating conversations. Has Stephen brought the body?
Yeah, the trolley's in the hall. Maybe wheeling it to the dissection room will be invigorating enough for you.
Huh. I've missed how friendly and helpful you are. I think I'll get straight to work on this one. Focusing on something will do me some good. Christ, this one's heavy. Hey, Mr. Ridley, I need help. I can't lift this bag myself. Ridley! Ugh, Wasn't easy, but at least I can start. A new package must have arrived. I guess Dorothy ordered it. I think I'll skip recording a video for the students today. They don't need to see me and the body. Ugh. And they'll still have the accompanying photos anyway. November 27th, 1991, 5:14 p.m. Conducted by Dr. Jack Hanman. James Evans, Jr. Evans had previously been convicted of possession of stolen goods, robberies, and drug trafficking. There were also attempts to accuse him of leading a criminal group responsible for burglaries in the New Orleans area. What? Burglaries in the New Orleans area? This is... Police photos show that the body was not even particularly hidden, but only covered with a thin layer of soil, branches, and leaves. The body was found naked and mutilated. Clothes, probably belonging to the deceased, were found lying nearby. The body was found inadvertently in the woods near Peetsville. The dogs picked up the scent while searching for a missing boy. The deceased's father, James Evans Sr., is a local businessman. He was the one who... Sounds disturbing. I wonder what condition the body is in then. I'll start by opening the bag. Oh, fuck. I didn't expect this level of mutilation. This is going to be a dirty job. I'll check through the bag the police left. Maybe there will be something worth noting about the victim's clothes. Leather belt, plain cotton tee, classic jeans. Certainly not my style. Is this? Interesting. Most of the blood is visible around the neckline. However, something's stuck here. It looks like some kind of ectasis? Scale? The bloodstains don't appear to be related to any injuries on a lighter, engraved with the police insignia. Stolen? Or maybe purchased from a pawn shop? Mainly traces of soil. It's a bit like the perpetrator's pulled his shirt over his head. Traces of dirt mixed with blood and rubbed leaf litter. Evans must have been crawling, or was dragged along the ground. And here, another animal souvenir. It looks different than the previous one. The only thing I can tell from the clothes is that before his death... Okay, I'll take a look at the scales. They seem too different. Dorothy once brought an animal encyclopedia here. She performed an autopsy on an exotic animal smuggler. The guy suffered an accident while transporting illegal animals. Not only were the police needed on site, but it took nearly a day to round up his cargo. Dorothy had a hard time with that case. Did the impact kill him? Or did one of the animals he was transporting do him in? They even talked about it on the news. People were terrified that some reptile would just come out of their can and grab him. Okay, the book. All right. Local wow. Nile? What kind is this? Oh, yes. This turtle turned out to be a killer. He ripped off the guy's wrist and tore him in a few other places. Aggressive beast. I only need to concentrate on the crocodile chapter. Nah, this one here looks more like a handbag. How it... doesn't seem to be fake. Very similar, but the color is slightly different. Not a match. Well, this scale makes more sense than the previous one. How did it end up here? So, either someone donned in crocodile products was around the deceased, or one of them attacked him. I'll examine the body and take photos. If an animal attacked him, there'll be traces. Ugh, Christ. Why am I so tired? Some coffee would be nice. What was I supposed to... the pictures. I'll have to show them to Dorothy. Too bad that we no longer keep our ranking. With something like that, I would come out on top. There hasn't been a case like this for a long, long time. All right, I'll begin. The deceased's skin is smooth and taut. This suggests an advanced stage of decomposition of the corpse. It's unlikely that a human would make such a wound. Nasty. Such a wound could not have occurred during the victim's lifetime. There are also clear traces of the deceased's ankles being bound in some way. Evans couldn't have tied himself up like that. It looks like some sort of attack or kidnapping. Oh, and as expected, there's a bite. No head. That's not hard to miss. This wound appears to have been made by a sharp instrument. Interesting. This needs to be investigated further. I need to gather my thoughts together. And it seems that I wonder whether the... Like torn meat. But I can't... Not the work of animals. I should inspect these areas with a magnifying glass first. This looks very promising. The bite is clearly visible. It should be easy to compare with the encyclopedia and identify the culprit. I just need to make it a little... I hope I put it in right. I can never remember whether it was image up or image down. At university... Ah, fantastic. Practically a one-to-one. Just some tracing paper, a pencil, and I can check these in the encyclopedia. Now, did I leave them in a drawer? Or maybe a box somewhere? Ugh. I don't remember if I left them out somewhere. Oh, looks like I can tidy up after myself. Sometimes. A very, nature-driven case so far. I'll have to consult the encyclopedia again. Good thing Dorothy left it here. Otherwise I would have had to run back to my place to get some. It makes sense. This would also explain the mold found in the clothes. It turns out that some of the wounds can be safely blamed on local alligators. However, we cannot blame them for the decapitation. It's not these animals we should be afraid of here. Ugh. Mississippi alligator. It's strange that an alligator would leave such a clear and smooth mark. The imprints are quite deep and even. From the looks of it, I'd say Evans was restrained with his own belt. The result of an animal tearing at its body, eaten skin, soft tissues, and genitals. There are even some teeth marks, but, well, it doesn't look like an alligator. The bite is firmly incorporated into the wound. A photo alone won't help me here. I need to make a cast and compare it. Looks like an uneven bite. It's worth taking a closer look at this. Maybe there will be some remaining teeth marks. Several stab wounds of varying depth and circumference. It doesn't look good. Evans wasn't decapitated with one cut. Evans' right side must have been more attractive to the crocs and insects. Very strong binding marks. You can see peeled epidermis and small wounds. It looks like the killer might have missed before they finally hit the neck. There's no end to playing zoologist today. I need a tool with dental impression cement. Can I find it here? No. It's probably lying somewhere around in the lab. I hope the cement hasn't expired. A month after the due date. That could be worse. Now I need to cover the bite area. Wait until it hardens. I think it's ready. The cast looks quite contaminated from the other wounds in that area. Well, let's hope the imprint turns out better. Brush, ink, and paper. Similar to taking fingerprints. Paint over the area. And put a piece of paper on it. That's very strange. I'll run it through the facts and check it on the computer. I really don't want to believe what I'm seeing. Loading. What? Wow. This is, well, this is quite unexpected. Human teeth. Oh, fuck. I need to tell this to Stephen. maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Loading. It'll probably take a while. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Loading. It'll probably take a while. Loading. It'll probably take a while. Finally. What? The partial impression I have may match several people. Okay, this one is in prison, so he's out. Another in prison. No, here's someone with quite interesting tendencies. Oh, he's dead. It doesn't fit. This one doesn't either. I'm afraid this will remain a mystery. The killer's profile is getting more and more interesting. No. No. Everything is spinning. Pills. I have to take pills. I'm going back to the body. I need to make a note before I start the dissection. Torn tissue. You can see that the tool used was sharp and smooth. So, they look quite shallow. Someone must have inflicted these with some sort of primitive... Maybe something chased that alligator away before it bit down properly? The abdominal and genital are the perfect breeding ground for obvious reasons. I need to verify how deep these wounds go. If they punctured the organs, hemorrhaging could have occurred. Alligators rarely kill humans, due to the body fat of the deceased. Time for internal analysis. Finally. First of all, I'll try to determine whether death occurred before the decap. With the scalpel, I'll open the deceased's chest. I cut deep, and we see a lot of fat tissue under the skin. When I remove the ribs, I expect to see even more fat on the organs. Correct. High levels of internal fat, organ size above average due to obesity. I move on to the lung analysis. The deceased smoked cigarettes, but more importantly, you can see that the lungs have clearly suffered severe. And this is the culprit. Well, it didn't look like the holes were that deep. Such hemorrhage could have been caused by hitting the chest with a blunt object. Open pneumothorax should be added to this. The deceased could have experienced extreme hypoxia, and, as a result, obstructive shock. I wonder what the heart looks like then. The organ is enlarged with very clear, light yellow traces of steatosis on the surface. No signs of heart attack, but similarly to the lungs, there is a trace of puncture with a sharp object. In pneumothorax, the heart rate increases. In the event of such a wound, this would mean bleeding out faster and more. In turn, a sudden increase in the amount of fluid in the pericardial cavity could lead to cardiac tamponade, which is also a life-threatening condition. Evans, however, is remarkably clean, considering this turn of events. This all looks quite disturbing. I wonder if I'll find anything. The organ is fatty and enlarged. The beginnings of cirrhosis are obvious. Well, that's it. This time, nothing to write home about. So, I proceed to carefully remove the stomach. Like most other organs, it is fatty and clearly enlarged, not to mention swollen. Partially due to gases, but mainly due to the deceased's lifestyle. I take the organ to the cutting board. The outside is intact. I'm going to check the contents. It sounds like there's an unusually large amount of undigested, and now rotten stomach contents inside. Blood. Evans had to swallow it due to his injuries, which means he was still alive when he was brutally wounded in the chest. Only the trachea left to be examined. Surprisingly, it's not damaged by the decapitation. I move on to cutting it open. Okay, I carefully cut, and blood, just as I expected. Evans not only swallowed it, but also choked on it. Looks like I can wrap this up. Let me tie this together. After he was abducted, stripped, and tied up, he was dealt several penetrating blows to the chest. Then his head was cut off. Evans was deprived of his genitals, and the body served as an easy meal for the animals. Even though there are a lot of injuries on the body that could cause death, it was the decapitation that ended Evans' life. The animal bites in the limbs occurred after death, so there's no reason to treat these as the cause of death. The damage to the lungs and heart must have led to severe hemorrhaging, so there's no doubt that Evans was choking in bloody convulsions. But it didn't last too long, which I conclude from the small amount of blood in the stomach and trachea. I never thought I'd ever wish someone to have a heart attack, but in this case, it would have been better for him. In some way, it can be said with— oh well. I need to stitch this poor guy back up. It's really bothering me. Something's not right here. Because even now, the organs are relatively clean. The skin around wounds also, it's like, someone pumped it out? I'll leave these questions for the police to solve. And now, I get to head home. It's a fucked up thing. I'll hold off taking long walks in the forest for the near future. I have a feeling that it won't end with just one body. Good night, Mr. Ridley. The body is ready to be picked up. I think it's the first time in a long time that I finished work at a decent hour. Oh, come on. Fuck! When did I get a flat tire? Fuck. I'm going to Ridley's. Maybe he saw something. Ridley, do you know what happened to my car?
Oh, what happened to your car?
All the tires are fucking flat!
Well, it happens. Don't you have a spare in the trunk?
Spare ones in the trunk. No one carries 4 fucking extra tires. In the trunk!
Jesus, Handman, calm down. I'll call you a taxi.
Calm down? That's a bit of an exaggeration, don't you think? Have you seen anyone around here? Someone strange? Suspicious?
Except you? No.
Haha, funny. I don't find all these jokes amusing, you know.
What jokes? Hammond, what's wrong with you? It's just tires.
Such things are not a coincidence. What's wrong with me? Things keep happening. Last week, and now this?
Just go wait for the taxi, okay? Fresh air would do you good. Neither you nor I will do anything about it now.
Neither you nor I will do anything? What have you been doing all day? Surely something like this can't just be overlooked.
Maybe you should go outside and cool down. I'm calling a taxi.
Cool down. I just want to sleep. It would be easier just to move in and live here. I doubt I'll get reimbursed for the cab. Damn. It's already late in the evening. Good evening. Any news for me? About my car? You know, the flat tires?
No.
No what? Have you checked the cameras? Anything?
Handman, I cut my teeth working in prison. I know what to do.
What?
There were no strangers hanging around. Maybe you ran over something.
What? All the tires?
Why, possibly. You can congratulate yourself.
Christ.
You should try sleeping more. You've been kind of out of it lately.
That's the first bit of sense you've made all evening.
Good. The body is expected to be ready for pickup tonight, along with your lecture.
What? What? No, what?
You still pontificating? Best hurry, don't you think?
Fuck me. I don't have the strength for this today. Have I taken my pills today? Did I take it? One more won't hurt. I need to focus. Fuck. I don't have much time. Okay. One by one, Jack. Take it easy. Oh, a burning issue indeed. Then I'll move on to the body. Ah, shit. The lecture. I almost forgot. I'm gonna need the camcorder. This is making me nervous. Oh well. This is not the best framing. Hello, everyone. It's the 20... something of November 1991. Jack Hanlon is conducting the autopsy. Yes, you already know the drill. So, the body is on the slab. Let's see. So, the victim is... The exact cause of the fire has not yet been determined. However, it is known that the fire started in the deceased's apartment, where the most damage was reported. The body was not found until the next morning. The tenant was naked, charred, and with severe burns. The owner of the apartment asked about the deceased. He was surprised anyone even lived there. The deceased was sitting in an armchair near the TV. Pieces of pornographic material, an ashtray, melted video cassettes, and several bottles of so-called poppers were found in the vicinity. It's difficult to assess whether any escape attempts were made. Firefighters indicated that it was probably the large quantity of poppers found near the deceased and rapid spread of the fire. Well, that's our basic question. Whether the death occurred as a result of fire, or whether he was dead before it. As you can see, the body is in quite an unusual pose. For the purpose of photographic documentation, we'll leave it like that for now. This position is called the pugilistic attitude. This is due to the influence of high temperature on the muscles. The fire reaches the skin first, then the soft tissue, until the skeletal muscles are exposed. Coagulation occurs in exposed muscles due to their fibers shrinking. The extensors yield to the force of the flexors. The muscles contract and contract until the limbs become flexy and deformed. The upper ones are characterized by a triple bend, similar to a boxer holding his hands in front of him. Just 10 minutes will do it. 10 minutes for the muscles and tendons to contract like a steak on the grill. In the end, we're all just walking meat. The deceased must now be straightened out, and we need to get rid of these bindings. He looks to have been tied up, and the deceased's neck and feet were most likely. Which explains why, despite the severe burns, the deceased's limbs are not all that twisted. That's better. It's easier to straighten him now. Without taking out the magnifying glass, we already know that the deceased's skin is heavily charred and cracked. As for the other details, there are crow's feet visible near the eyes. Upper lip reveals front teeth. One of the incisors is broken. There's soot in the nostrils. The rope around the neck wasn't very tight. I don't see it leaving a mark on the skin. You can clearly see that this is primarily the front of the deceased that was exposed to fire. The victim sat in the chair the whole time, hence his back being in much better condition than this extremely burned area. The rope marks around the wrists are deep and clearly visible. Looks as if a large flap of skin had detached from the calf. The rope at the man's ankles was tied much tighter and more precisely than the one around his wrists. All in all, quite a lot can be deduced from this external examination. The length of the rope was calculated, and appears that the deceased could make limited movements around the perineum. Predominance of 4th and 3rd degree burns. Severe burns, covering approximately 80% of the epidermis. Traces fail to indicate that the deceased suffocated before the fire took hold. That must have been terrifying. He appears to be loosely tied. However, this is the result of the corpse drying out. The wound shows that the rope had deeply imprinted itself in the tissue. The burns reach through the dermis and hypodermis to reach the muscles. The body is covered in numerous areas. The eye clenching is a natural reaction of the body to high temperatures. Soot in the nose appears when inhaling harmful and choking smoke. The tissue of the mouth was heavily burned as well. The teeth, however, makes me wonder. The conclusions are quite clear. It may seem in this case, I don't assume that this was a delayed death. We need to check the damage inhaling all that smoke has done to the respiratory tract. Wounds on the wrists and ankles indicate that the deceased could have been struggling in pain. It looks like the deceased was a fan of choking while masturbating. Deaths due to a predilection for asphyxophilia do occur, but not in this case. The extent of the thermal stresses on the body could have caused this death. Burns to the genitals and groin are an additional concussive factor. This is due to the high vascularity and innervation of this area. The mixture of fear, sexual arousal, and drugs could have caused. Due to the amount of charring, we are unable to collect the victim's fingerprints. Visual identification is also out of the question. You can probably guess what options we are left with. You guessed it, a dental impression. For this, I need impression trays. Ugh. Okay, it's going well. I should be able to get this done in time. Where are these trays? Towels, papers, jars? Nope, it's not anywhere on the counter. Maybe in this drawer. Oh, I'll warm this up in my hands. Okay, making an impression is quite simple. You put trays with alginate into the mouth, and once the device is... Okay, again, we will need a piece of paper, a brush, and ink. We will make a plaster model of the deceased's teeth from the obtained impression. We will then make an impression of the mold on a piece of paper, which will be scanned into the computer. You see, it seems so simple, and yet laborious. On the plus side, we don't have to worry about the gag reflex with the deceased. And no need to remind the subject to breathe either. At least he saved the high cost of orthodontic treatment. Wow, who would have expected a match so soon? Well, the deceased is Richard Jacobson, 47 years old. He had a criminal record and was recently in court for... Oh, wow. For not returning a videotape to the rental shop. Oh, Jesus. I better check if I've still got that copy of... where were we? Okay, I'll add some details to the clipboard. Okay, and we can move on. This time, I'll go straight for the loppers. Let me start here. I push hard several times. Until I cut a given section. You can see that using a scalpel would be pointless here. Solid crunch. Almost there. Now we peel back the skin. Now to remove the ribs. And we can check out what's going on in here. And I see that a lot has happened. In fact, the entire abdominal cavity is flooded. Blood and other fluids have seeped from the blood vessels, flooding the abdomen and chest areas. We have to get rid of this. I'll go get a cup or a ladle. I think I saw one somewhere here. Aha. I don't have all night. I'm going to need a vacuum pump. Great. The running around for everything starts again. Why can't things be tidied away properly in this damn mortuary? I'm gonna get Ridley. Mr. Ridley? Mr. Ridley? I'll just go to the basement and check. Jeez. I don't know what this was for. Rusty scrap! God! Where is this infernal machine? Wow, that's heavy. Can I fit through the door with this? I swear I'm going to have an accident here one day. Like Alice, when she twisted her ankle on those stairs. We were supposed to go to the mountains then. That was supposed to be our first trip since... And Alice.
Hammond!
Because of me, as always, she had to...
Hammond, are you talking to yourself or what?
Huh? What? No, I just...
There is a letter for you. I left it on your desk.
Letter? For me?
Yes, letter for you. Do I have to repeat myself again?
No. Thank you. Where were you? I was looking for you earlier.
Hammond, I was retrieving your letter.
Jesus, Ridley. Could you talk to me like a human being from time to time?
I'm just answering the question.
Right. Oh, by the way, the basement hatch is wide open. Maybe you could look into it,
Maybe.
A letter. Fuck! Who delivers letters at this time? It's probably been sat in his office for ages. Just didn't want to move his lazy ass. So, we have the equipment. Now I have to place it somewhere close to the table. Phew. I can finally put this thing down. Alright, just... What? There's no tube? No one's used this for a long time. I apologize to you all once again. Aha. 3649. Okay. 3649. 3649. 3749. 3794? Another kidnapping this month. These lockers could contain everything we need. or simply filled with people's crap. Ah, screw it. There might be something in here. Yep. I'm sure I wrote the code down on a piece of paper. And my memory for numbers. Ah, what do we have here? Boxes of disinfectants, syringes, thread. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should take it to the antiseptics. Any other stuff? About here? Oh, I wanted to forget. Alice. I regret so much. Every day. Every fucking day. I can't take it anymore. Oh, God. Please. I can't. How do I... Phone. Oh. Do not think. Just don't think. Office of the Medical Examiner, Beatsville.
Oh, Jack. I was hoping to catch you at work.
Hi, Dorothy. How's it going?
Good, thanks. And what about you? You sound tired.
Tiring day at work. That's it.
You scared me last time we spoke.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to cause any trouble and say what I said.
Jack, it's alright. You're not causing any trouble. I'm not surprised at all that.
No, really. I mean it. Sorry. I just... I'm fed up with myself.
You should take care of yourself. Didn't you say you wanted to stay at home longer? To rest? You know I pick up the slack at work.
No, I didn't. I can't. I don't want to be there.
Well, why not consider taking a trip, Jack?
Dorothy, please. I really don't have the energy for this today.
I just wish.
Stop it. Why are you calling?
Reminder about annual drug testing. I figured you probably didn't remember.
Oh, yes. I've, had a lot going on. I, even forgot my own birthday.
Leave your samples at reception on your way home. Someone will pick them up from Ridley in the morning. Probably Steven or someone else at the station.
Sure. I'll try not to forget. Okay, well,
Jack? Try not to do anything stupid, okay? Alcohol, your medication. No, you shouldn't.
I have it all under control. I should be getting back to work.
The results should be in tomorrow. I'll call you when we know.
Right. Thanks.
Goodbye, Jack.
Bye. Annual drug testing. I'll take care of it before I go home. I feel terribly weak. Wake up, Jack. There's been a bit too much going on lately. I was supposed to collect the hose. Focus on your work, Jack. All right. Here I am. I hope that was the last long break in this session. So, let's connect the tube. We turn on the machine. With this amount of fluid, there's no point in holding back. Still a few nooks and crannies left. External examinations did not reveal any tissue defects that would reach the internal organs. So, I expect the organs to be intact. In a way, it's quite extraordinary that even with such severe burns, skin, the organs are all present and correct. A reddish-pink tint indicates high carboxyhemoglobin levels, the level of which I will determine from a sample of blood. I will be inserting needles into... What interests me here is not the presence of this substance itself, but rather its percentage content in this. But first, I'll need the values for the centrifuge. Ugh. I feel like I've been here forever. Jack, focus. Just a little bit longer. Corpses recovered from the site of fire may have very different and complex histories. Burning is only at the surface. Underneath, it may be a heart attack, stroke, or pulmonary embolism. This particular case appears quite basic. However, I would warn against making a diagnosis too hastily. A fire victim does not always mean death due to smoke inhalation. The centrifuge has completed its cycle. So, as usual, I will take the samples to the laboratory, and I'll be back with the results shortly. Ugh. What exactly was I supposed to test for? COHB. Ugh. I'll take 2 milliliters of huge sample. Ugh. All right, I'll note this down and perform a check of the organs. What? Where? Mr. Ridley? Why did he take that fucking body? What's wrong with me? Why did you take the body?
What body?
Well, the body. You know, from the autopsy room.
Christ, Hammond. I didn't take any of your bodies.
So who took it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I...
Get back to work. It's late.
Something strange is happening here. Maybe I think I'm just tired. I don't understand what's going on. I think there's... I must have been seeing things. Results. We can now be sure that the organ has a reddish pink tint, which results from the concentration of COHB and general congestion of the organ. Other than that, I can cross this off my list now. We will look at the lungs more carefully. From the outside, just like the heart, it is congested, and the color indicates poisoning. Thermal damage is visible here and there. Enough of the external exam. It's time to grab the knife and dissect the lungs. I need to check for any obstruction, burns, or clots. Jesus. All right. You can see changes in the lung parenchyma caused by burns and smoke inhalation. Nothing new here. So let's complete the notes. And let's check the trachea. The color is the same as the rest of the organs. Significant congestion. Let's see what it looks like inside. Okay, the final cut. There are visible burns inside, but what catches the eye the most is the amount of soot. Looks like our subject was in the thick of the fire. Let's deal with the final notes, and we're ready to go. Let's deal with the final notes, and we're ready to go. I considered the direct cause of death to be severe carbon monoxide poisoning, leading to extreme hypoxia of the body. The extreme burns on the deceased's body and respiratory tract indicate that he must have been surrounded by fire. During the examination, no other factors were found that could have contributed to the victim's death. Just need to add my John Hancock and sew up the body. I'll close the body, trying not to damage what's left of the skin. As for stitching, well, it varies. It can be that the fire victims are in such a condition that there is nothing left to stitch. So for this job, a thicker needle and heavy-duty thread. Well, everything's holding together. Keeping it together is invaluable in this line of work. Well, after storing the body, there's nothing left for me to do. Thank you for your attention. All the best, and good night. Ugh, my God. What an exhausting day. I need to get these gloves off and call a taxi. I swear I'm about to pass out from exhaustion. Oh, fuck. Urine sample. Oh, no. Okay, this is it. I'm dehydrated. I should drink more water.
Hurricane Taxi, we will take you wherever the wind takes you.
Hello. I would, like to order a taxi to 574 Presley Street.
Okay, hun. All of our drivers are busy at the moment. Best I can do is within the next hour.
An hour? Oh, no. Alright. Let it be.
Can I take your name?
Jack Hanman.
Okay, thank you. Do you have our loyalty card?
No.
Would you like to set one up? For regular customers, we have discounts and extra...
Would that make the taxi get here faster?
Well...
I thought so. Thank you. Goodbye. This is already giving me a headache. Stephen didn't clean up after himself. Ugh, Jesus, what now? Yes, how can I help you?
Jack, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you do that?
Oh my God! What was that? What the fuck? This is some kind of mistake. An hour here. I need a drink. Oh, strong. Everything's spinning.